Why do we feel separate when in truth, everything breathes together? This is the quiet question that lingers in the background of our lives. We walk through the world with the sense of being enclosed in a small body, guarded by skin, shaped by thought, carrying a name and a story. And yet, when we pause to notice the breath, a deeper truth whispers. The air that fills my lungs has never belonged to me alone. Picture a drop of water falling toward the sea. For a moment, it may imagine that it has become something independent, something apart. But the truth is, it has never left the ocean. Its nature has always been ocean, fluid, boundless, inseparable. In the same way, we too believe we are separate beings, but each breath reveals the illusion. With every inhale, the trees and the stars breathe into us. With every exhale, we return a gift to the world around us. This cycle knows no boundaries. What feels like my breath is, in reality, the universe moving through me, through you, through all of us at once. This video continues the journey we began in Volume 1. Is this breath only mine? There, we touched the wonder of shared breath. Now we go deeper, into the illusion of separation that has shaped human history, our relationships, and the way we see ourselves. We will explore how this illusion arises, why it feels so convincing, and how, through awareness, it begins to dissolve. Allow yourself, just for these moments, to rest. No need to analyze, no need to strive. Simply listen, as if each word were carried on the rhythm of your own breath. Let the sound wash through you like gentle waves returning to shore. Because here, in this space, there is no demand, no requirement, only a reminder. A reminder that you were never apart. A reminder that even in loneliness, you were never truly alone. A reminder that what you are searching for has always been breathing with you. So let us begin. Together. One breath, one cosmos. From the moment we are born, we begin to experience the world as if through the walls of a separate body. The skin that holds us gives the impression of boundaries, a line between what is inside and what is outside. The eyes look outward, the ears listen outward, the hands reach outward, and so a natural sense arises, I am here and the world is there. This is the beginning of the illusion. As children, we are given words to describe this division. We learn I and you, mine and yours. These words are useful for navigating daily life, but they quietly reinforce the sense of being an island, apart from others. The language of separation seeps deep into our thinking until it feels unquestionable. We forget that these are only symbols, not truth. And yet, because they are repeated so often, they shape our very sense of reality. Society then strengthens this illusion. From school to workplace, from culture to culture, we are taught to compete, to achieve, to prove ourselves as distinct individuals. Success is measured by how well one can rise above others. Ownership is glorified. My house, my career, my identity. The story of me becomes the lens through which everything is seen. This conditioning runs so deep that it shapes even our inner lives. We compare, we strive, we defend. We carry the belief that our value is fragile and must be earned. Beneath it all is the subtle fear of not being enough, of not belonging, of being left out. The cost of this illusion is heavy. When we live as though cut off from others, loneliness becomes our shadow. Even in a crowded room, even surrounded by family or friends, the heart may whisper, "No one truly knows me." No one truly shares this life with me. And with loneliness comes fear. Fear of losing, fear of not having, fear of death itself. We cling to possessions, to relationships, to identities, hoping they will secure the sense of being someone. Yet the more we cling, the more fragile life feels. This illusion also creates a restless hunger. We seek more recognition, more achievement, more wealth, believing that fulfillment lies in becoming greater than others. But each gain quickly fades, leaving us once again with the same emptiness. At its core, the human experience of separation is not a failure, it is a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding so deeply woven into biology, language, and society that it feels inevitable. Yet, it is only a veil. The truth waits quietly behind it. We were never alone, never cut off, never truly divided. When we begin to sense this, through breath, through awareness, through compassion, the walls of the illusion start to soften. And what once felt like isolation slowly reveals itself as belonging. The illusion of separation is not only a personal feeling, it is also deeply woven into the philosophical and cultural roots of our world. For centuries, human beings have been telling themselves stories about who they are and how reality works. These stories, while offering structure and meaning, have often reinforced the sense of division between self and other, subject and object, human and nature. To understand why this illusion feels so convincing, we must look at the frameworks that shaped our collective imagination. One of the most influential voices in Western thought was René Descartes. His famous declaration, "I think, therefore I am," became a cornerstone of modern philosophy. At first glance, these words may seem empowering. The human being affirmed as a thinking subject, distinct and certain in its own existence. But hidden within this declaration is a subtle fracture. By identifying being with thought, Descartes separated the I from the world. This dualism, mind versus matter, subject versus object, has quietly shaped how Western culture understands reality. It led to a worldview where the self is imagined as an isolated consciousness, observing a mechanical universe from the outside. This philosophical split found powerful reinforcement in the rise of modern science. The mechanical worldview of the 17th and 18th centuries described the cosmos as a vast machine made of separate parts, each moving according to fixed laws. The human body itself was seen as a mechanism, with organs functioning like gears and fluids circulating like oil in an engine. In this vision, nature was stripped of its living essence. It became an object to be studied, manipulated, and controlled. While this view brought remarkable technological progress, it also deepened the sense of division. We came to see ourselves as detached observers of a cold, external universe, rather than participants in a living whole. Yet this sense of separation is not confined to Western philosophy alone. In spiritual traditions, too, we find teachings that, when misunderstood, can deepen attachment to the idea of a separate self. In Buddhism and Hinduism, for instance, the concepts of karma and rebirth describe how actions create consequences across lifetimes. Properly understood, these teachings invite us into responsibility and compassion, showing how deeply our lives are interwoven. But when filtered through ego, they can harden into belief systems where I must strive endlessly to purify my karma, to secure my liberation. The very effort to escape suffering can become another way of strengthening the sense of me versus the world. Even in traditions that speak of non-self, the mind often resists. It clings to identity, to personality, to story. The very notion of letting go of self can feel like a kind of death. And so, even spiritual paths can become arenas where the illusion of separation quietly continues. The truth, however, is far more fluid than these constructs suggest. The dualism of Descartes, the mechanistic vision of science, the rigid grasping at self within religion, all of these are only provisional lenses. They are attempts to map the vastness of life into forms the human mind can grasp. But in doing so, they cut the fabric of wholeness into artificial pieces. They draw lines where no true boundaries exist. When seen with Prajñā, wisdom beyond concepts, these divisions dissolve. Thought and matter, subject and object, self and world are revealed as two sides of one living reality. Science itself, in its more recent discoveries, begins to confirm this. Quantum physics shows that particles are never isolated, but exist in relation, entangled across space and time. To recognize this is not to reject philosophy, science, or religion. It is to see their limits, and to remember the truth too simple and too vast for words. We were never separate. The illusion of separation begins to unravel when we look more closely at the reality of energy. Science, philosophy, and timeless wisdom all point to the same truth. Nothing in this universe exists in isolation. Everything is movement, transformation, and relation. Albert Einstein reminded us that energy can never be destroyed. It cannot vanish. It only changes form. Light becomes matter. Matter becomes heat. Heat becomes motion. Motion becomes life. The food we eat is sunlight transformed through plants. The warmth in our bodies is the fire of the sun carried across 93 million miles, stored in grains, fruits, and vegetables. Every action we take, every thought we hold, is part of this constant circulation. When we imagine ourselves as separate individuals, we forget that what we call my life is simply a temporary configuration of universal energy, flowing and reshaping itself endlessly. Quantum physics takes this understanding even further. At the subatomic level, there are no isolated particles. Every electron, every photon, every quantum of energy exists only in relation to others. Experiments reveal that when two particles interact, they can remain connected, entangled, even across vast distances. Change the state of one, and the other responds instantly, as though space and time themselves cannot break their bond. This is not poetry, but physics. It shows us that the fabric of reality is not built on separation, but on connection so profound that our usual categories cannot explain it. What we once thought of as independent things turn out to be waves in a single ocean of energy. And although human perception is limited, seeing objects as separate and solid, the underlying reality is seamless. This insight, both humbling and mysterious, resonates with the deepest spiritual teachings that have always insisted life is one, indivisible, beyond fragmentation. And yet, we do not need to study physics to feel this truth. Breath itself is the most intimate teacher. The air I exhale at this moment will soon become part of the tree outside my window. That tree will release oxygen, which will enter the lungs of another living being. The molecules of air that sustain me now once moved through the bodies of animals, rivers, forests, even the breath of ancestors long gone. In each inhalation, the universe flows into me. In each exhalation, I return myself to the universe. The cycle is endless, boundaryless, inseparable. This reality of breath dissolves the myth of mine. How could this breath belong to me when it has been moving through countless forms for billions of years? How could I claim ownership of what is, in truth, the shared rhythm of existence? The moment we awaken to this, we realize that separation was never real. It was only a thought layered upon the unbroken flow of energy. Here is where the wisdom of Prajna becomes essential. Prajna does not look at life through concepts. It does not divide into I and you, subject and object. It sees directly, without distortion, that all appearances are expressions of one living reality. From the perspective of Prajna, energy is not just a scientific fact. It is the pulse of being itself, the dance of emptiness taking form and returning again. When we rest in this wisdom, fear begins to loosen. For if nothing is separate, then nothing is ever truly lost. The body changes, relationships shift, civilizations rise and fall, but the flow of life continues without interruption. We are not drops falling away from the ocean. We are the ocean, momentarily appearing as drops. The energetic reality is both humbling and liberating. It shows us that we are not as independent as we once believed, and yet we are never alone. What sustains me also sustains you. What moves through me moves through the stars. The illusion of separation does not only exist in philosophy or science, it plays out quietly in the small moments of our daily lives. It hides in the way we think, in the way we feel, and in the way we interpret our experiences. When pain arises, we often believe we are carrying it alone. In sadness or loss, the mind whispers, "No one else can understand this. No one else can share this burden." Loneliness deepens, and the sense of isolation grows heavier. Yet if we pause and look more closely, we find that sorrow itself is universal. Every human being has known grief, has walked through dark valleys. In recognizing this, we discover that our pain is not a private prison, but part of the shared fabric of life. In moments of achievement, the illusion appears in another form. We may tell ourselves, "This success is mine, the fruit of my own effort, my strength, my intelligence." But when we peel back the layers, we see a larger picture. That success was not born from an isolated I. It grew out of countless conditions, teachers who guided us, friends who encouraged us, opportunities that opened, circumstances that supported. Even the body and mind we call ours are the result of ancestors, environment, and the elements of Earth itself. This becomes even clearer when we consider the most ordinary things. A single bowl of rice is not just rice. It carries the labor of the farmer, the richness of the soil, the gift of the rain, the warmth of the sun, the patience of growth, the hands that harvested, the journey that brought it to our table. To eat is to take in the universe itself. No bite has ever been separate. And what could be more intimate than breath? With every inhale, the atmosphere shaped by forests, oceans, and clouds enters our lungs. With every exhale, we return ourselves to that same atmosphere, nourishing the cycle of life for others. Each breath is a reminder that separation is only an illusion. The air does not belong to me or you. It is the rhythm of the cosmos, flowing endlessly through all beings. Daily life, then, is not proof of isolation. It is proof of interbeing. Behind every sorrow, every triumph, every simple act, lies the truth that nothing exists by itself. What feels like mine is already shared. What feels like alone is already together. And what feels like separation has always been the dance of one inseparable life. Separation may be an illusion, but while it is believed, it brings very real suffering. The mind that imagines itself as cut off from life begins to experience emptiness, anxiety, and a restless longing. At the core of this illusion is the feeling, I am alone, I am fragile, I must protect myself against the world. This belief creates a constant undercurrent of fear. Even in moments of comfort, the fear does not vanish. It simply hides, waiting to reappear when life changes. Loneliness becomes not just an occasional feeling, but a silent companion. The more we identify as isolated beings, the deeper this emptiness grows. We try to fill it with possessions, with recognition, with distractions, yet the hunger never truly ends. No matter how much we achieve or accumulate, the sense of incompleteness returns. This is the inner pain of separation, the hollow ache of forgetting that we belong to something greater. This inner pain does not remain private. It expands outward into the fabric of society. When human beings live from the illusion of separation, they inevitably see others as competitors, strangers, or even threats. The result is conflict between individuals, between groups, between nations. History is filled with wars fought over boundaries drawn on maps, boundaries that in truth exist only in the human mind. When the sense of us versus them hardens, compassion fades, and violence takes its place. Even in times of peace, separation breeds discrimination and prejudice. We divide by race, by religion, by class, by gender. Each label becomes a wall, and behind the wall grows suspicion, fear, and hatred. The illusion that we are fundamentally different fuels endless cycles of suffering, repeating across generations, leaving deep scars in the collective heart of humanity. The same illusion shows itself in our relationship with the natural world. Seeing ourselves as separate, we treat the earth as if it were an object outside of us, an object to be used, extracted, and consumed. Forests are cut down, oceans are polluted, animals are driven to extinction, and the climate destabilizes. All of this arises from the false assumption that nature is out there while we are in here. But the truth is undeniable. The earth is our body, the rivers are our blood, the air is our breath. To harm the planet is to harm ourselves. The ecological crises of our age are not accidents. They are the inevitable outcome of living from the illusion of separation. And in these crises, the pain is not only environmental, but also deeply spiritual, for we have turned against the very ground of our own being. When we step back, it becomes clear that every form of suffering can be traced to this misunderstanding. The emptiness within, the conflicts among us, the destruction around us, they all spring from the same root. Believing ourselves to be separate, we close our hearts to the truth of connection. We act as if survival depends on isolation, competition, and control. But in doing so, we lose touch with the very source of life. The pain of separation is profound, yet it carries within it a hidden invitation. It points us toward what we have forgotten, that we are already woven into the fabric of existence. Our loneliness pushes us to rediscover belonging. Our conflicts urge us to remember compassion. Our environmental crises demand that we awaken to interbeing. If separation is the root of suffering, then remembering unity is the beginning of healing. and every breath can guide us back to this truth. We were never apart. The illusion of separation feels convincing because it has been reinforced since birth, by the body, by language, by culture, by history. And yet, the moment we turn inward with awareness, cracks appear in the walls of division. Dissolving the illusion does not require force, it requires presence. Mindfulness is the gentle key. When we observe the breath with care, we discover that there is no line where my inhale ends and the world's exhale begins. The air flows in and out, crossing what we imagined to be boundaries. With this simple practice, the body softens, the mind grows quiet, and a deeper truth reveals itself. Life is not divided. Life is continuous, flowing without interruption, untouched by the fences the mind has built. From mindfulness arises compassion. When we see another person in pain, the heart naturally trembles. We may try to deny it, but the resonance is unmistakable. Another's suffering stirs something within us because, at the deepest level, there is no other. The child crying in hunger, the elder aching in loneliness, the stranger crushed by loss, all are echoes of our own being. Compassion is not a virtue we must manufacture. It is the natural recognition of shared existence. It proves, without words, that the boundary between me and you was never solid. True compassion dissolves fear because it reminds us that we are never isolated fragments, but currents of one river. When compassion flows freely, the illusion of separation begins to weaken. This recognition leads us to the wisdom of non-duality. To live in non-duality is not to erase differences, but to see them as expressions of the same life. Light and shadow, joy and sorrow, self and other, all appear distinct, yet none exist apart. Just as two sides of a coin cannot be separated, so too the dance of dualities cannot be divided. In the state of non-duality, there is no longer the struggle of me against the world. Instead, there is the ease of resting in what has always been whole. The fear of loss softens, for nothing can truly be taken away. The drive to dominate dissolves, for there is nothing outside to conquer. What remains is spaciousness, clarity, and the gentle recognition that life has always been one. The wave and the ocean offer a final image. A wave rises, crests, and falls, appearing for a brief moment as a form of its own. It may imagine itself separate, proud of its height, fearful of its end. Yet all along, it was only the ocean, expressing itself as a wave. So too with us. The names, stories, and forms we carry are waves. The essence, the ground of our being, is ocean. To realize this is to dissolve the illusion of separation. We do not need to become one. We have never been anything else. Dissolving the illusion does not mean escaping the world. It means living fully in it, but with eyes open to the truth of connection. Each mindful breath, each moment of compassion, each glimpse of non-duality returns us to the ocean we never left. And in that recognition, the illusion of separation melts away, not with struggle, but with the quiet clarity of truth remembered. To dissolve the illusion of separation is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of a new way of living. When we remember that we were never apart, our choices, our relationships, and our daily actions begin to flow from a different source. Life no longer feels like a private struggle to secure happiness. It becomes an open movement of belonging, where every moment is an opportunity to embody connection. The first place this truth reveals itself is in the family. When we see clearly, Our children are not possessions to mold, but extensions of life itself, entrusted to our care. Their joys and their struggles are not separate from us. They ripple through our own being. To look at a child with the eyes of unity is to see our own heart beating outside our body. Likewise, parents, siblings, and partners are not others we must tolerate or control. They are mirrors, showing us aspects of the shared whole we inhabit together. To live beyond separation in family life means to replace judgment with patience, to soften competition into support, and to recognize that every act of care given to them is care given to ourselves. Beyond the home, the same truth extends into society. Service and generosity are often spoken of as moral duties, but in the light of interbeing, they are not obligations. They are natural expressions of reality. When we offer help to a neighbor, when we share knowledge, when we act for justice, we are not performing charity for someone else. We are simply caring for the larger body of which we are a part. This recognition changes the energy of giving. It removes the subtle pride of "I am the helper" and the subtle shame of "you are the needy one." Instead, both giver and receiver become participants in the same flow. Society transforms when service is no longer a burden of virtue, but the natural rhythm of unity. This way of seeing reshapes our relationship with nature as well. When separation dissolves, the earth is no longer an external resource, but a living extension of ourselves. To water a plant is to quench our own thirst. To protect a river is to protect the blood that flows in our veins. To breathe in clean air is to share health with all beings. Caring for trees, soil, and sky is no longer a political issue, nor merely a duty to future generations. It is the immediate act of breathing in harmony with life. When we see nature as self, reverence arises naturally. We tread more gently, consume more wisely, and listen more deeply, because harming the earth feels the same as harming our own body. Environmental healing is no longer about saving the planet, but about remembering ourselves. In every mindful step on the earth, in every sip of water, in every inhalation of air, we rediscover the unity that was never broken. Finally, even creativity is transformed when we live beyond separation. Inspiration is no longer claimed as the product of a solitary genius. It is recognized as the gift of the collective flow. A song emerges because of countless influences: the memories of childhood, the rhythms of the world, the voices of teachers, the silence of the night sky. A poem, a painting, a discovery in science, all are not mine, but the universe thinking, feeling, and expressing through a particular form. When the sense of separation falls away, creativity becomes play, an offering rather than a possession. The pressure to prove originality dissolves, because originality is simply the infinite expressing itself in endless shapes. Living beyond separation does not make us passive or detached. It makes us intimate with life. In each act of care, in each gesture of service, in each breath with the earth, in each spark of inspiration, we rediscover what was always true. We were never alone, never separate, never cut off. A drop of water falling toward the sea may believe for a moment that it has become separate. It trembles in the air, imagining itself alone. Yet when it touches the ocean, the truth is revealed. It was never apart. Its nature was always ocean, fluid, boundless, inseparable. So it is with us. We carry names, stories and bodies that make us appear like separate drops. But with each breath, the truth whispers through. Every inhale reminds us that life flows into us from countless forms. Every exhale reminds us that what we release becomes part of the whole again. Breath is the bridge, showing us that we are never cut off. We belong as the wave belongs to the sea. As we close this reflection, let the breath guide you once more. Inhale gently and feel the universe entering. Exhale softly and feel yourself returning to the universe. There is no border here, no line dividing me from all, only the movement of life, giving and receiving, without beginning or end. With every breath, remember, the separation was only an illusion. Beneath the stories of isolation, beneath the fears of loss, there has always been only unity. The ocean has never lost its drops, and the cosmos has never lost you. So let the music fade, let silence rise, and let yourself rest in this truth. You were never apart. You are the breath of the cosmos, alive in this very moment. Every step you take, every word you speak, every act of care is the ocean moving as the wave. To live with this awareness is to live in peace, not a peace we must create, but a peace that was always here, waiting to be remembered. With every inhale, come home. With every exhale, release into wholeness. And as you breathe, know, the separation was never real. Only life, indivisible and infinite, remains. If this reflection has touched something quiet within you, I invite you to stay connected. You may choose to like this video, to subscribe for more journeys of breath and awareness, or to share it with someone who may need this gentle reminder today. I would also love to hear from you. What did this reflection awaken in you? Leave a comment below so that together we can weave a space of shared presence where every voice becomes part of the same breath, the same cosmos. Your presence here is already enough. Thank you for breathing with us.